Good evening and welcome to the Cover One Buffalo podcast. You are joining your host Greg Tompsett along with my very calm, not anxious at all partner in crime, Aaron Quinn. Aaron, how you doing?
I am doing all right, Greg. I went in to today. I'm doing okay. I went into today though, really talking ourselves up through our show, through
Yeah.
spaces of this is going to be the Bills freight train coming into the playoffs to show the Chargers how it's done, to show the world how it's done, and just roll over a team you're supposed to. And walked away with probably years taken off my life here on my birthday. I was
Damn.
hoping for another birthday blowout, Greg, and I got years taken off my life by this team in a victory. So we are still here to celebrate a victory for the Buffalo Bills, but not how I envision spending my day, buddy.
Yeah. Again, you are all joining us because the Buffalo Bills have survived and advanced in the playoffs 34-31. They are now moving on to the division round. We will be watching later tonight when the Cincinnati Bengals and Baltimore Ravens play to see who we are facing in the next round. And we'll go through everything. We're going to talk about some of the highlights of the game. We're going to go through our drive-by-drive review. We're going to pick our drive of the game, all the different fun things that go into this.
Yep.
I will tell everyone, it's okay to realize, hey, we're not the Chargers. The Chargers blew a 27-0 lead last night. We saw multiple different kinds of games happen throughout the time here. There's a lot of weird things that went into this game. We were just talking before the show. I will agree with Thomas real quick here. I literally, for the first time all season, I literally took my phone out and tried to get the WGR radio feed lined up with watching the game because Romo was so insufferably rooting for the drama of the Dolphins to be in the game.
That was my problem.
And constantly the weird little wink tempting fate things of they can't possibly be in this game, can they? And
that was
so
my
cheesily over the top dramatic.
Yeah.
It was infuriating.
The Bills can't end their season here in this way, can they? Stay tuned.
It was just so cheesy and so over the top. It was
and there was a couple moments in the game where I felt he was lost, and usually where he's the better time management guy. I felt like Nance had a couple of moments on him where he was like, no, I wouldn't do that right now. You even saw Nance push back a couple of times. It wasn't his best performance today, but there was a couple QBs that didn't play well today. Romo wasn't the only QB.
We'll
had some struggles today.
So again, we're going to go through a lot of the things here. There are plenty of warts to pick here. This was not our best coached game. This was certainly not Josh's best game. This was not the best play called game, but everything we're about to go through, please take with a grain of salt. No matter what, if we had won 56-3 today, you don't get to take any of those points with. All that matters is stay healthy, survive, and advance. We stayed healthy. We won the game and we move on. It was not pretty. It should have been a much more comfortable win than what it was. But ultimately, the nits we're about to pick, and we are going to pick them, ultimately don't matter in this tournament. It's not an indication of how they will play next week. It's simply an example of how they can't afford to play next week because of playing down to the level of their competition tonight.
Yeah, I think where my head is at right now is fantastic. You got the win. I'm excited. I really am. I know I'm probably not showing it here for a post-game show, but I am. But I expected a win. I expected a bigger win. But you're right. It doesn't matter. We see it in March Madness all the time. Really good teams squeak by with buzzer beaters, and nobody goes back and cares how they got to the Final Four. You just got to get advance in this situation. So they were able to advance. Did not go the way they intended to. The game probably, again, we talked about it a little bit on the preview show of probably ended up having to be a bit more of a physical game than I would have liked to have gone through in the first round for this team. Probably put more mileage on than I was hoping to on some of these guys.
I was hoping for some Case Keenum snaps in the second
half.
That's
what I'm saying. And it became a physical chippy game, and that was cause for concern for me. That's the last thing you want to get into with a team that you're playing down to in the moment. So those were causes for concern. I do think, even though they got the win and you can reset here, and I don't think playing poorly necessarily indicates that there's a problem for the Bills going forward, but it did bring up some concerns. I think while we're nitpicking, some of those things seem like concerns that if you do it against the Bengals or the Chiefs, you're not going to get through the playoffs in this way.
Yeah. I'm going to bring this up. I'm going to guess 6 times during the show. Say it with me, everyone in the chat, everyone listening now. The difference between what they can't afford to do going forward versus what we assume they're going to do going forward. Those are 2 different things. How they played today isn't how they're going to play next week, or doesn't have to be. It could be. It's possible.
There's been a lot of play like this. Yeah.
Yeah, it doesn't. But I think the assumptions that, how they played today is how they're going to play going forward is just not the way it works. We see crazy swings all the time in all directions.
Yes.
Those things are there. And, we've talked about that as it goes on. So some of the overall highlights today, Josh Allen with a weird stat line, 23 of 39 for 352, 9 yards per attempt, 3 touchdowns with 2 interceptions, plus a fumble lost, got sacked 7 times.
Sacks, dude.
A handful
one of them goes
those,
for a strip.
Yeah, one of those
touchdown.
Strip sack for a fumble. As a matter of fact, I take that back. He fumbled 3 times, lost one of them. One lost fumble. Thankfully, one he got back and one Spencer Brown got back. Just a really frenetic game. Looked amazing to start. At one point was 9 of 10. And was
looked
perfect.
Like playoff Josh.
Yeah, looked like a perfect, just executioner kind of game that was just going to run away with everything. 17-0.
I do think it was probably my fault on. I think it was like the 52-yarder to Diggs. I think I tweeted out like something very cocky, like blitz Josh Allen, I dare you, or something, and then they continued to blitz, and that
Josh Warrior heard you.
Yeah, they heard it loud and clear. They dialed up some pretty ones in this game, man, and just some sugar high Josh moments.
Yeah, we'll get through some of the ups and downs. I'm not even as frustrated with some of the plays of getting blitzed, because that's just a desperate team throwing the kitchen sink at you. They're saying, hey, we can't line up and just go standard coverage and beat you guys. We have to introduce,
and it's what they want to do. They play to what they think their strength is.
And it's why if I look down the column of the, long catches of the day, it's 52, 33, 31, 29. Like, it's why you had so
high variance playing
big deep shots, because they knew that doesn't count a deep defense pass interference and 2 deep shot drops that we'll get to. As you're going through there and doing those things, that's your only shot to beat Josh. I'm more frustrated. As a matter of fact, the 2 interceptions are the least of my concerns for Josh.
Actually,
I don't know that I put either of them on him.
I don't blame him totally for either one of those.
Yeah, I think the one was a miscommunication with him and John Brown, where I think Brown was supposed to keep running to that spot and he cut it off at the end of the route. And then the other one was not off of Beasley's chest. It wasn't Beasley's fault, but it was just the ball got tipped.
It was a great play by the defender.
Yeah, Kohu
Holland's
was able to then tip it up, and then Holland happened to be there to be able to catch it.
You don't want him anywhere near the ball if it's in the air. Like Holland will come down with that.
It was the pieces where he, and I talked about it all through my thread, and we talk about it all the time. It's big play hunter Josh. Like, it's awesome when he hits those deep shots. But several times, and even though Romo was annoying a couple of the times, he talked about, he actually had Diggs open on the crosser there, but he went for the deep shot on Gabe Davis. And
it's tough. It's like where my head's at with it a little bit, Greg, is the conversation we were having about, and we still have to this day, about running on 2nd and long, right? Like, the look is there. They're giving you the look. You're told in practice that if you get this look, this is the shot we want. And you say it all the time. Like, it's hard for me also to get mad at Josh for hitting these guys in one-on-ones deep downfield. Like, those are the plays I want him to push, but they are, at the same time, they are high variance, low probability plays. And the result of going to that well too many times is you open up for those high variance, low probability plays to swing the other way. And that is exactly how you keep a team like this in a game. And I was really kind of, that football philosophy in me was really frustrated throughout this game of continuing to see those big shots and knowing the Bills can win those one-on-ones, but knowing how low of a probability they are. And my frustration seemed in the moment, at least for me, to go towards Dorsey of not building in more quick hot routes to beat the blitz, where it's, hey, if they're going to blitz, let's get Cook out on a quick and just get the ball to his hands and have nobody around him for 20 yards and see what he can do. Like, those are also ways to generate explosive plays while being blitzed. It's not just crank it off and let's see if we can go deep for it. So I'd like to see some of that and implement it if the other teams are going to real blitz. I think you're probably through the blitz heavy section of the playoffs though after this, right?
I mean, Boyer does blitz at the highest level. You know, there's like some other teams who do throw a little bit.
Maybe you get some Ravens somehow. Yeah, but
we'll see. But yeah, Amarulo and with the Chiefs, who am I drawing a blank on?
Good
Lord, it'll come to me in a second. I'm mad at myself. Aren't the guys who blitz constantly. They'll dial it up in critical moments. But a couple comments here. Maz says, too close for comfort. Allen really needs to clean up. Turnover and ridiculous. Yeah, you're not wrong. Eric, love you guys, but why did you not expect a wild and competitive game? Yeah, shame on us. I should have expected a more competitive one.
I'm an idiot.
Spagnola. Yeah, thank you. Yeah. And here, Timber, start of the game as a Bills fan, finished as a nihilist. It's hard to blame you. That was a rough one on the heart rate. So, as far as just some of the other overall thoughts, the run game was okay. It wasn't a huge factor, although I guess I'm surprised to look. We did run 22 times.
Yeah.
But past 39, there's a drive I'll get to later where I would have liked to have seen one or two more handoffs, maybe. The receivers, don't let the box score fool you. The receiving core looks great in the box score. Stephon Diggs deserves credit. Even Gabe Davis.
This should have been like a 13-14 catch day for Stephon Diggs.
Just so many opportunities for things, but a couple really tough critical drops, a couple broken off routes that didn't end well. Just really painfully took it away. And
then you time that up with some really nice pressure from the Dolphins and Josh Allen not being able to get eyes downfield and get through progressions. Like, it timed up really. They played some complementary defense, I think, between the front and back end, that's probably more responsible for keeping them in the game than we're probably going to admit throughout the week and blame it a lot on the Bills just being sloppy. I think they probably had, when we watched the L22, there was moments where Josh couldn't find anyone open.
Correct. There was a couple where we're being frustrated on the big play hunter thing, but some of them there really wasn't anyone there, and he just had to take a shot. John's comments here that there were at least 5 throws by Josh that should have been catches and were either incompletions or interceptions.
I will say, to fairness to Skylar Thompson, at the beginning of the game for the Miami Dolphins was, if I was them, I'd be frustrated because you already know you're going into it with this backup, but there was a number of drops that were not on him that should have been easy catches that I don't know if it makes a difference early in that game, but would have kept some drives alive. There was a couple that would have kept the drive going.
Yeah, I mean, believe me, the tip of a one ball here or there certainly could have made a big impact
on this game for sure.
And then weirdly, you made a great comment pre-show when we were warming up. How weird is it to win a game 34-31 with 31 points allowed, and we're mad at the offense, not the defense?
I thought the defense played a really good
great.
Really good game.
Like, it's super weird that we gave up 230 yards. We gave up 3 yards a play.
Remember how we keep coming back to in these post-game shows, these stretches of time? I'm pretty sure there was 2 of them where the defense got multiple stops, got it back to the offense, got them in favorable position. The offense got them back in worse position again multiple times. So that's where most of your points came from in this one. But somebody came at me in Twitter comments because I was talking about how good the defense was playing. He's like, how can you say that when there's 31 points on the board? And I'm like, well, that's like super misleading. Like, this defense is not playing this poorly.
Yeah. Well, the defense literally scored 7 of the points.
Right.
So literally 7 of them were there. Mm-hmm. All of the rest, there was one actual touchdown drive, one actual scoring drive the entire rest of the time. At one point, they had 178 return yards and 87 offensive yards. Yeah. So it was just an unbelievably weird game. Not our best special teams day. Special teams has been a strength here, and we had one that was really perfectly blocked by them. But that 50-yard return that we'll get to. But just overall, the defense weirdly played well for having 31 points given up, which is really odd to do. But 4 sacks, 2 interceptions, 11 quarterback hits, constant pressure on Thompson to force throwaways. There was multiple of the Thomas Morstead punted 6 times. Out of those 6 punts, at least 4 of those were forced by a pressure on third down where Thompson had to throw the ball away, which is the same as getting a sack or an interception, is so causing a turnover and getting a possession back. Just really weird in some of those spots where we're praising the defense after we gave up 31 points.
Yeah, no, I think in a couple standouts. One, I think Tremaine Edmonds had a fantastic game. Milano too. I think the linebackers both played well. Your boy Kyer Elam, man, I think this game has to have solidified him as CB21A. Like going forward, right? He showed the ability in a huge spot in this game. Again, we'll talk about break down every drive later here. And then made another 2 big plays in big spots. Didn't seem out of place at all in a big moment in a big game against good wide receivers. I think that this might be the moment where that edge tips towards him a little bit, because he was my player of the game in this game in a very good defensive battle. I mean, Taron Johnson would be deserving of a player of the game type with the way that he played in this game today. Just a number of guys you saw penetration consistently by Taquan Jones, Ed Oliver, just hats off to the defense. Hats off to Frazier. It definitely looks worse if you're just picking up the newspaper tomorrow and looking at the score. But I thought it was a really good effort from the defense. All things considered, I mean, they were playing Skylar Thompson, so you expect them to dominate this game. But the way the offense continued to put them in unfavorable positions could have gotten a lot more out of hand.
Yeah. So here, as we're going to pivot over to go to the first quarter and start with our play breakdowns here, I'm going to pause for a moment. I'm going to ask everyone, do us a favor, go out and press the like button. It really helps us out a lot. It really means a lot. And I know before we get going any further, today is Mr. Aaron Quinn's birthday.
Thanks, man.
So happy birthday to Aaron. I hope you I hope this didn't take life off of your heart, but I hope you're able to enjoy, maybe get some cake afterwards.
My wife made a really good, it's like a peanut butter pie. With like a really nice Oreo crust. It's good stuff.
Our producer Chris sending you a message down there across the bottom. And real quick, if you want to know what to get Aaron for his birthday, get him a one-pass membership. You can sign up. You get this awesome shirt and decal. You get access to the Slack channel, which is crazy on game days. Today, maybe a little stressful in there with the kind of game that we had, but an awesome experience. So if you want to get Aaron a birthday present, what he wants is for you to buy a Cover One pass membership. The link is in the show description. It would mean a lot to us. Make sure you check it out.
You know why it would mean a lot to me, Greg, too, though, is people do often ask with the network and how can they support what it is we do. That's exactly how you can. All this stuff, all the DVOA, all those things we bring you, they are quite costly to get that kind of stuff to our to our content creators, though, to give you the content that you need. And so it really just keeps this network up and running. We're growing every year. Hopefully we're going to continue to grow here this year, but it's we can't do it without your guys' help. So that's why we're always asking. But let's get into this first quarter here, because at this point,
the first quarter is great.
This is the best part of my day. I really thought, the Bills come out, they get this first drive here. You take the big shot. You knew they were going to come out and take some shots in this game. They get a 1st and 10, 17 yards. Khalil Shakir early, getting reps early. We talked about this a lot in our Twitter spaces of kind of without Isaiah McKenzie, where were those reps going to go? I think when the snap count comes out, we're going to see a lot for Shakir in this game, which I love to see.
Huge tilt to him.
Yeah, back to back then to Diggs for 14 yards. They just continue to move the ball on this drive. But then you do get they end up going for it on a 4th and 3, and you get this felt like that play. A little bit worse timing for the play, the same one they ran in Cincinnati, where they're going to Beasley on that route. But it seemed like this with the depth of this play on a 4th and 3, it didn't seem like they got the depth of the route right to convert anyway if they got this going. But it's going back to enforcing that in this situation. Just didn't seem like the play. It was a tough throw, tough to get that completion, and it ends up stalling here early. But they looked good coming out of the gate in this, going right to Diggs, going to Shakir. You thought they were just going to move the ball at ease.
Yeah, it was a little odd. They looked really smooth at first, just cruising down the field. A couple okay runs, got it to 3rd and short. The runs weren't a problem. It got it down to 3rd and short. Then Josh scrambles, and you have that weird play where he kind of hits the ball off his hip, and it does bounce forward out of bounds, and it's the right call. Like, if you fumble the ball and it's not recovered, and it fumbles forward, it goes back to the spot of the foul. You don't see it all that much in the fourth quarter. If 5 minutes left in the game or overtime, you can't fumble forward, period. Even if
At
it's
all.
recovered, it comes back, because the old Raiders holy roller play where they intentionally fumbled
Correct.
forward. They were a little punitive in where they marked it. Like, I guess technically, like, that was the very first part of where he started to move the ball, but it certainly looked like it should have been maybe 4th and 1 instead of 4th and 3. And then, like you said, the play call there, and it was one of those things where, like, all right, I mean, I guess that is what it is, but we then have to, turn the ball over. We gave them pretty good field position, but right off the bat, we get boom, 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 3 and out. We're able to get the ball right back, and it's feeling like
big drop from Waddle on this drive, though. That this was not necessarily a defensive stop. He had a legitimate straight up drop on a play action deep shot that I'm sure he wants back when you look back at this game.
Well, and a precursor of the kind of game that Mike McDaniel was going to call. They were going to go for all high variance. Hey, we got to take deep shots. We're not going to be able. He knew correctly, they were not going to matriculate the ball.
Yeah, you got to land some big
They
ones.
were not going to be having 10 and 12 and 14 play touchdown drives. It either was going to take a turnover of the short field, a big punt return in a short field, or deep shots. So they were taking them and trying to go right back after it. Now the offense comes out, and here we start to see a little bit more of that rhythm. We start to see a little bit more to be able to go through right off the bat. 20 yards to Diggs, then a real quick one back to Diggs. Then here again, Josh takes a shot and gets sacked here, and part of that pressure starts to come through, and then comes right back, and you just see this bomb to Stephon Diggs down to the 6, where he has a step on Xavier Howard, and it's just a rock.
This is where I cockily.
Yeah,
that's not the right word. That can't be it. Anyways, in a moment of confidence, tweeted
arrogantly,
arrogantly, come at Josh, blitz him like all day, because you saw it on that 2nd and 8. It was a perfectly timed up blitz. Josh didn't even have time to get back into his drop on that one. They sack him, and he knew they were bringing it again. And you saw, again, I think the Bills' game plan kind of matched that McDaniel's game plan, where it's like, we know you're going to blitz us, and we are going to take the shots when you do. I didn't love it ultimately as the game went on, but early it was like, take those shots, get up early. But I think they leaned into that a little bit too often throughout this game.
Yeah. So Josh launches that one and then comes back on the next play and literally zips the ball past the Dolphins defender's ear hole. And I don't even understand how he fit it in. And then Dawson Knox, like, one hand snags it and pulls it in and gets a toe and a knee in on a crazy impressive touchdown.
And can I get a little credit for Josh Allen rollout in the red zone touchdown working?
Yes.
That's all I've ever wanted.
You asked for it, and that's what they got you for your birthday.
Although I will say, when he started to roll out, I immediately thought of Joe Marino being like, well, that cuts the field in half, because it looked like the read was covered. It did look like everything was covered up.
It was covered.
Everything
was great coverage. That should not have been a touchdown. He did have it covered.
And so in that split moment, I was like, oh no, this is why you don't do it. Because like Josh also didn't have the run lane in this one. He had to make that throw. It was either going to be incomplete or nothing, and it ended up being a touchdown.
Yeah, we didn't talk about that in the box score, but Josh Allen 4 carries for 20 yards and a really critical one late up until that point. Mm-hmm. Awesome job consistently spying Josh Allen by the Dolphins.
They really did.
Boyer had a great plan. And when you have weapons like Javon Holland, you're able to do that. But they did a really nice job with that, consistently spying Josh and getting him in those spots. So now here is where it seemed like the just wave was going to crash over the Dolphins. So we kick off. They come back, you get a 2-yard run to Jeff Wilson, and then all of a sudden you get a complete, just confused Skylar Thompson, disguised coverage, and Dean Marlowe gets a fastball to the chest because Thompson doesn't expect it there. And good on Marlowe for catching this ball, because this was like a split-second decision to be able to realize, oh, crap, the ball is on me, and for him to catch it and bring it back 10 yards to give the Bills the ball at the 23-yard line. It was one of those things where it seemed like, oh, here we go.
Yeah, the floodgates are about to open up, and then kick it right into this next drive, because they time it up perfectly to be on the way. Like, I really wasn't sure that there was the potential to have another perfect game in the playoffs in the wild card round, but in these minutes here, in this like 4 or 5 minutes of gameplay, I thought it was happening. I thought, like, we're not going to punt. this is going to get abusive. We're going to have to call off the dogs. That's where my confidence level is at this. And I'm pretty sure my heart rate was probably like a perfect, like resting 60 something. Like I was doing good on the iWatch, just chilling, eating some wings, enjoying my birthday. Life was good at 1:15, 1:20 in the afternoon today.
Yeah. It was going very, very smoothly. And you see them immediately turn around. Josh catches Miami offsides, takes a free deep shot, doesn't connect, but he gets him offsides. Then Khalil Shakir got a nice shallow crosser. You then see Motor plowed across the first down line to be able to pick it up there. And I love that idea of being able to run the ball when they know you're running the ball. That's an important one. And then this one I actually liked. I thought it was a really nice, some jet motion, misdirection, give on the read option there. James Cook went in almost untouched. There was nobody knew James Cook was going to have the ball.
Runs like a thoroughbred too.
Oh God, he hits top speed so quick, and he glides when he runs, so it doesn't look frenetic. It doesn't look like he's trying that hard when he's running. So all of a sudden, it's like, oh my God, how is he moving so fast? And that happened there. And, Tyler Bass converts, and all of a sudden, boom, it's 14-0. And it just feels like the floodgates are opening here. And it's just really going to be, a boat race. And, that doesn't even shift that much going into it, because the next set of downs for Miami, they look like they're going to go 3 and out again. And then finally, Thompson gets their first down, gets it to Mike Gesicki and gets out of bounds. Like, oh, hey, congratulations. Congrats, the first down. That's cute. And they start to move a little bit more. Another, here's one that they'd have to take another shot to Tyreek Hill and get another drop. Another play, they take another shot to Jalen Waddle. This one broken up. This one
Trey with a great drop play on this one. To the catch up of Trey this, because when that ball was in the air, Greg, I thought that was it. He took the top off. He was a full step and a half ahead. If this is the one I'm thinking of, Trey comes back on that ball and makes a great play that maybe Elam can. There's not a lot of guys on the Bills secondary that can catch back up and make that play.
Yeah. So, not only catching back up, but having the presence of mind that when you get to that actual catch point to punch at the ball,
play all the way through it.
Taron Johnson had a really nice punch away later on. We'll probably touch on.
That was just beautiful.
So it ends up being a really critical play. We then see Nyheim Hines with maybe a little bit of a risky punt field here, but ends up using a stiff arm, racing across the field, gets pretty good field position, and is
only
able
being
to
the 13-yard though. It felt like a 25-yard return, and when
he ran way more yards, he ran 40 yards all the way across the field.
Yeah, he had that stiff arm going for 4 yards. Like that was like a 4-yard long stiff arm. So
yeah, so just a nice play. It was sadly one of the few positive plays by the special teams, but a good one. So this drive then takes us to the end of the first quarter and into the second quarter. And as we're going through, we see the one where my only tweet was like, oh my God, did Gabe Davis catch that football? I couldn't tell. And they go through the replay, and I'm joking about like, well, we've clearly defined that no one knows what a catch is at all, but this has to be overturned. This one has to be overturned. You could see his hand under the ball that he clearly had it. And they did end up, overturning the incompletion and give Gabe Davis credit for a really impressive catch.
Yeah, my big thing was like I didn't know that he could catch footballs, so that's pretty cool.
I was told on Twitter he actually can't.
Actually, quite a pretty good day for Gabe. I think if he's going to show up and just
drops that we got frustrated by,
if he's going to just show up in the playoffs, I'm super cool with that.
So we then go right back to Diggs, get a little bit more going there. I liked the next play. They did the jet motion eye candy again, but this time Miami was ready and hit Cook for no gain. That one I didn't mind the play. Then the same thing. This is another one where Josh sees the opening, scurries for the first down on 3rd and 7, which is really tough when Miami's defense is actually kind of playing within their scheme. And again, this seemed like, okay, this was just going to go down and be that back-breaking drive of what you kind of thought it was going to be.
Even at this point, the next play is another 8-yard run by Devin here. So you're just moving forward and forward. This ends the first quarter, and at the time, Jim Nantz made a comment that time of possession so far in that first quarter of the game was 11 out of 15 minutes the Buffalo Bills had the ball, and they were just every play on offense seemed to just be at their will and going forward. And so you just felt, again, shaping up for a big day here. Things start to change a little bit after this drive here, though.
Well, in this, I think this is a pretty good synopsis of where Buffalo was showing they're the more talented team, showing they're the better team. They go again. They tried more cover zero blitz, and it doesn't matter. This is the one where both Khalil Shakir and Stephon Diggs were open, and Shakir almost like tried to reach back for the ball, but it went over his head, and it's like, oh no, and like, oh, he was throwing it to Stephon Diggs,
other guy behind
who
me,
was also open. And then Motor fights for 2 yards to get the first down, and now there's this weird play where Josh like almost calls timeout and then fakes a quarterback draw against the cover zero blitz, which he actually probably could have just run the ball in and would have scored. But then he pulls up at the last minute and throws to Dawson Knox. And you saw this a couple times where when he kind of changed his mind last minute while he was running and went to throw it, he would throw kind of short and miss the receiver short. He misses Dawson Knox short, but Knox dives back at the ball and is able to, it looks like, make the touchdown catch. They call it a touchdown initially and then review it. And it's one of those things where, I guess arrogantly in the moment, I'm like, who cares? It's not that big a deal. We'll take the field goal instead because we're going to keep boat racing these guys.
Right.
And they overturn it. And I guess rightfully it's fine. Like it did look like the ball did skim along the ground for a second there. So I guess that's the right overturn. But it turned it into a third down. And then Josh gets sacked on the third down and turns it into a field goal. So again, it seemed like, hey, we've got all this going. Everything's going to be great. And then whether it was pressure or a bad decision by Josh or whatever it was, all of a sudden it's like kind of a weirdly deflating 17-0 lead, even though it's already 17-0.
I personally, it small in the moment felt deflated, but overall it was like, okay, like, it's you're probably going to have 4 or 5 of these field goal drives. In my mind at the time, I'm thinking like, hey, we're just going to score every single drive, and a few of these are going to end in field goals, just like in in some of the other big blowouts that they've had. Like maybe you're not going to get a touchdown on every drive. Oh well, like that's where I'm at. But now in hindsight, with how close this game got, those points are all the margin difference in the world for how you feel later.
So, and a good example where we talked about the weird special teams game. First, the wind blows the ball off the tee for Tyler Bass, and then it starts to wiggle again as he's kicking it, and he kicks it out of bounds. So, like, probably should have come in and had somebody hold the ball on the kickoff. But all of a sudden now we give a team that's struggling and not able to move the ball at all
free field position,
a first down on the 40. So they start at the 40. And they put together their first real positive play. They're able to hit Durham Smythe for 20 yards right off the bat. They come back with a couple of rushing yards and they get something there. Then they try an end around to Tyreek Hill, and they really start to move the ball for the first time. We end up kind of clamping down. We get, a sack on a really nice blitz from Milano and get them into 3rd and long. And then we've had this multiple times. Scrambling around, they're afraid of the deep ball rightfully, and Tyreek Hill hits a stop route, a comeback route for 20 yards on 3rd and 19 that was just very deflating again in the moment where, okay, this team doesn't really have all that much going. Don't let them convert these. That should be a gimme every time.
Yeah, you're defeated a little bit, and I feel like a little bit of a jinx in this moment of saying to my wife, talking about like how good the defense had been playing and saying like, this is the one spot, they're lining up here on a 3rd and long. It's like, man, this is like the one spot they're vulnerable. Like, cause she was kind of, you're not going to give up a 3rd and 19 here. And it's like, well, that actually is this Bills defense. Like that's kind of, unfortunately their weird spot. And Dane Jackson was in coverage here. I think it was cover 3. And I get what they're doing though in cover 3 there of you got Hill on the outside and it is the 3rd and 19. You think they're probably going deeper. Smart by Hill to cut that off. But you got to come up and make the play there. You can't give up you have to know where the sticks are. You can't let him get the ball, turn upfield and get the first down there. So tough play to give up. Ultimately, it doesn't matter to the outcome of the drive there, but it did give them life at this point in the half, didn't really have any life to speak of. And you let them hang on to this drive and gave them a lifeline, which ultimately hurts you later.
Yeah, and we'll talk about that as the game goes on, but they're able to again, they come back, they try some orbit motion, eye candy stuff. Boogie Basham actually made a nice run stop there.
Yep.
Then the defensive line just kept kind of collapsing on things. Thompson had to check it down. He ended up dropping it, but it would have only been 3 or 4 yards.
Yeah.
Then Jason Sanders barely sneaks the ball inside the upright. He almost missed the field goal.
Honestly.
But it was like, okay, they got it 17-3. This is, I guess, good for them. It's not that big of a deal. And because you come
you're
right
not
going
to beat Buffalo with field goals. That's my go ahead. Congratulations. Maybe get 4 or 5 trips into this area. Good luck.
And it comes right back and you feel good because James Cook goes for 9 yards, comes right back for 13 yards, just cruising along. And then here, this is not a play call thing. It's first down after 2 really good runs is a great time to run play action on first down. So they run play action, but as you see it and they show the replay, Josh goes for a deep shot to John Brown.
Yeah.
I don't mind that. It seems like there was some miscommunication, but there were 2 defenders back there. It wasn't
a clean, like, one-on-one Diggs running stride.
He didn't have a step on him. It was kind of forcing it there. And we'll look back when we have the all 22 to see if he had other choices or other options. But ultimately it certainly looked like he kind of pushed the ball downfield. I think that John Brown could have been in the spot to at least have a contested catch. Like, he at least should have been at the catch point because it looked like an easy lollipop of a interception for Xavier Howard because nobody was there. He at least would have been there to fight for the ball, but instead the miscommunication made it look like a free ball. I believe should have been a 1-on-1 50-50 shot. And that all of a sudden, like you said, gives them some life. And to compound it, Xavier Howard returns the ball 49 yards to get it all the way back to past midfield, where again Miami doesn't have any confidence going forward, but you've now given them a chance to be able to get a little something going.
Yeah. No, and again, good on the defense here because this is the type of situation where you get a big play like that, you get the big return, you're handing over a shorter field again here for another time for this Vince team. You at some point, these are those like, okay, well, like I'm going to understand if they do end up giving up a touchdown here. At some point, they're going to break. But the Finns come out here. They get 1 3rd and 8 on a Terran blitz. They end up having to go for a 4th and 8.
Yeah,
they get the first down on this 4th and 8. I thought here, Greg, I know you don't see it called a lot. So it was like a little dump off check down. Matt Milano comes up. He misses the tackle in a rare open field sort of.
I got a little frustrated. He was going for the blow up hit where, yes, if he breaks down,
but it's like
probably
Josh,
catching it, falling forward and going for a 3 or 4 yard gain. But it's 4th and 8. A 3 or 4 yard gain was fine. And we celebrate when he gets those.
I was going to say, it's like Josh, though. Like if he pops that ball out, like we're going nuts. Misses the tackle. Tremaine's right there. Gets a push in the back.
Yes.
Seemed like
Tyreek Hill blocked him in the back.
Yeah, he got a block in the back there. Would have loved to have seen that get called. I don't want to get I don't want free calls from the officials, but in a moment like that and in a big down like that, and you're on the sideline, if Tremaine gets hands on him at all, that ends that drive. But unfortunately, they are able to continue on in this drive. Another 3rd and 8. Big play by Edmonds. Holds them to a field goal look. So they're kicking field goals. They're chipping away. And again, I'm still thinking you can't beat the Bills with field goals. Like, cool.
Correct.
Settle down, like, guys, everybody settle down, get on the same page. You're not going to beat us this way.
Yeah, correct. I think that's the exact right mindset. And they're able to do that. And you I think sold short Tremaine Edmonds stopping the play. Tremaine Edmonds almost murdered Salvin Ahmed on this hit. Yeah. Like, it was a ridiculous explosive hit that I think Jim Nantz rightfully pointed out that I think the ball being in between them kind of saved Tremaine from getting
it was textbook though. If that would have been a helmet to helmet, that's one of those ones where it's like, God, what do you want the guy to do?
Correct. Face up. He didn't hit with the crown of the helmet.
And he's so
up,
tall.
He looked at what he was hitting. Yeah, and he's like ridiculously tall.
Yeah.
So I'm glad they didn't call it, but I would have understood if he did hit helmet to helmet. It could have been. But fortunately, they didn't, and he just destroyed him for an awesome highlight. Awesome.
Get the man extended.
Highlight hit.
Re-sign him, but he is priority number 1 for me.
So again, here, you have, an important possession where
Yeah.
you have a chance to be able to,
Yeah, getting the ball back with like 2:15
yeah,
left.
2
We've
minutes,
seen the
15
Bills in
seconds
this
left.
spot. They're the best team in the NFL scoring in this situation, right?
Yes. 17-6, great way to end the half. You're able to go down and be able to really take control of this. And all of a sudden, you have, a handoff to Cook, takes his 2-minute warning, still fine, 2nd and 8. Now, all of a sudden, this is one where Josh, like, he kind of stepped up into the pocket weird and like goes and ends up getting sacked. He had a couple of these where it's like a 0-yard sack and he kind of weirdly steps up into the pocket and almost seems to bring on the pressure. And like he thinks there's going to be space and then realizes they have a spy and kind of stops and gets sacked. It happened like 2 or 3 times. It was kind of odd. And now just a rough trend that we're going to see going on later. Awesome pass. Josh Allen rolls out, uncorks an absolute bazooka that had to be, again, 60 plus yards in the air because it was going to be a 54-yard gain, and he was at least 6 yards behind the line of scrimmage. And Khalil Shakir goes up, seems to make the catch as they start to show the highlight as we're celebrating. It looks like the ball's moving around a little, and as he's rolling over, it looks like the ball touches the ground.
Pigskin touches some ground.
And again,
who doesn't have drops is Isaiah Hodgins. He catches everything.
Yeah,
I've been told right now.
Yeah. I've been told that he catches all the footballs. I even was gonna, some fans have brought that up. He actually did have a 0.0% drop rate for the season, which is bananas.
Yeah. He just had a great catch right now.
Yeah, and I think he scored a touchdown today already.
Yeah, he did.
So going through and doing those things, it was an impressive catch. He was laying out. He did have to jump to get the ball.
It would have been a crazy catch to make it.
Correct.
The way he was coming down. Like,
I even think drop is a relative term here. Like, he should have caught it. It wasn't knocked away by a defender, but he was jumping to catch the ball because he had to jump and catch the ball because it was
rolling. Yeah.
Rolling over. And again, one of those things that doesn't seem to be the biggest deal, but all of a sudden you're talking about that was a first down at the Miami 16.
It was a massive
with a
deal.
minute 54 left, where you're now going in to score. Like, you still have timeouts. You're at the 16-yard line.
You're getting 3 either way.
Yeah. It's automatic 3, so it's automatically 20-6, or potentially 24-6, and really being like, okay, we can put it away here. Everything's going to be fine. Instead,
that was cute. You guys had a little bit of a hiccup. Pack it up.
And instead, it goes instead. Obviously, another theme with the special teams. We punt it. Stan Martin actually has a halfway decent punt. It's 47 yards. It's not amazing, but it's fine. And then it's blocked perfectly, and Cedric Wilson returns it 50 yards to the Buffalo 27. So what should have been a comfortable, easy 20-6 or 24-6 lead, and now all of a sudden, again, the defense has to walk out on the field on the 27-yard line. Gets a pretty immediate stop. They don't give up much of anything, hold them, and give up another 3 points where the defense has basically a 3 and out. But it gives up points because special teams or return yardage or whatever it was, put them in position. And now it's at, 17-9, and just feels, like, all right, you're letting them hang around here. Like, you can't do this kind of crap. You can't give up those free yards.
You said it. I mean, this is one of those things too, where we'd spend a lot of time digging in. I said it in our Twitter spaces this morning that, like, they were talking about sports betting. And one of the reasons I don't bet on sports is because, or especially football, I'll bet on baseball, I'll bet on basketball. Those stats lead to predictive data and how things are probably going to go. Football doesn't have that, man. If you looked at the data for this game, you looked at the film for this game, Bills special teams is one of the absolute best units in the league. And Miami's has been one of the worst special teams units in the league. It just has to time up right in a game like this, and it makes all the difference in the world. This is a 50-yard punt return, getting 3 points, flipping that possession that way is exactly how a bad team just floats around, hangs around, gives themselves a chance in a game like this. You can't have it. Like, this is where you can't have those. I don't care if you're the best special teams unit for the whole regular season. Like, you can't let a team that doesn't have any business being in it. Your defense is performing well. You can't let special teams be a catalyst for keeping them in a game.
Yeah, and unfortunately, as you talked about, with a team that desperately didn't need any additional opportunities, you now go right back out there and be like, okay, we let them get back into it. 17-9.
A minute off the clock. They got 3
Yeah.
more points. We could still do this again. There's a minute 15.
Yeah, it should be 20-6 or 24-6, but whatever. We still got the ball. We can take care of this. Nice pass to Dawson Knox right off the bat. Had a chance to Beasley, but it didn't quite connect. And then we have Beasley going down the seam. And this one, at first, I was furious, and I thought it went right off Beasley's chest, and was his fault. It was a really nice play by Kader Kohu. Reached in there, tipped the ball up right into Javon Holland's hands. Right
Playmakers are there and they make plays, man.
Yeah, in position, and then ends up returning it for 29 yards. So all of a sudden, hey, defense, guess what? You have to come back out and start on the 18-yard line again.
Yeah.
Best of luck.
After 3 unanswered field goal stops by your defense in this one, legitimate stops, keeping the bleeding in control. You've been bleeding out now for about 5 minutes of this game in this the second quarter here, and your defense has continued to stop. This is one of those stretches, Greg, where I don't know what it is about this team, what it is about this offense, but there's a stretch in every game. It's a swing of probably 3 or 4 possessions for the other team where the defense hands it back to them. The offense just cannot either pull away from a team or put a team away. It's really frustrating.
Yeah, and ultimately these last 3 offensive possessions that ended interception, punt, interception also only gave the defense a combined break of 2 minutes and 30 seconds.
It's tough. That's tough to play, man.
So, the defense has to immediately go back out there. They start at the 18-yard line. They try to get a little something to Tyreek Hill, and the defense is ready. Then they get a quick little out route to Salvon Ahmed. They get a tunnel screen to Tyreek Hill, and then they go right back and they find Mike Gesicki in the back of the end zone. And now drops, tipped interceptions, converted 3rd and longs, and you've given them a tie game, 17-17, a team that you are absolutely better than, absolutely more talented than, and you've let them tie a game in a matter of moments. You go back, and now what we thought was going to be Bills first and 10 at the Miami 16 with a minute 54 to left, up 17-6, ready to go in. Somehow from that point forward, Miami gets 2 more possessions and 11 points out of it, where we have the ball going into score. It was just an unbelievable turn of events to be able to, again, let a, beaten up, down, with a men down kind of team hang around in a game. They do get the ball back. They do actually put together a little something, a nice
big 33-yarder to Gabe to start it out. Again, this is the problem with this team, is you have all this problems that are primarily led by the offense in the second quarter of this game. That you're fumbling all over yourself, shooting yourself in the foot, all mostly on the offense here. But then Josh Allen is such an eraser. That throw alone, that 33-yard alone, probably erased 4 mistakes that he had previously made, because it puts you in position again to be in a shot to score when you got the ball left with, you got like 20-something seconds
33.
left.
33 seconds, get an immediate shot to Davis.
How many teams can feel like you can get the ball and score with anything under a minute left still?
2.
Yeah.
Yeah, 2 of them. That's about it. And then a quick out to Diggs, hits another one to Davis in the middle. We use our timeout. We use our second timeout. And then Josh has a shot. He gets it in a perfect pass to Stephon Diggs. Diggs does get 2 feet down, but as he reaches out to pluck the ball, he gets it with one hand. It kind of shifts and moves as he's cradling it, and the 1 foot touches as he's plucking it. And if he truly just stuck it and never had to cradle it, it probably would have been a touchdown. But as he had to kind of cradle it to get it, his 1 foot came off the ground and then the other one touched, and he didn't have possession and 2 feet. And the scramble of what was going on, they end up having to take a timeout because they were arguing over whether, Josh and Diggs and McDermott were absolutely furious that hey, how are you not going to review this? And it wouldn't have got overturned. It wouldn't have. But live in the moment, and especially the view from behind where it looked like Diggs was going to catch it. For you, is 7 seconds enough time with the timeout? Say they didn't have to waste the timeout there from the 21-yard line. is that enough to run one more play? What we've seen, this is not from the 6. It's not from the 3 where you can just run, hey, quick slant. If it's there, it's there. If not, throw it out of the end zone. If you throw an incomplete pass that floats into the end zone, all the time will come off the clock. I got it, just got into a debate with a couple people about like, oh man, that wasted another shot at the end zone. 7 seconds left from the 21. I don't know that you can run another play.
I don't think you're getting it and walking out with 3. You're kind of just going balls to the wall saying we're taking
you could have
shot
instead of kicking the field goal.
Yeah, I don't think you get the best of both worlds in that scenario.
And I'm not saying it's impossible. I'm just saying like you're playing with fire. We've seen Josh run out the clock from the 6-yard line with 8 seconds left.
For sure. I mean, the likelihood in a scenario play like that is that Josh is going to have to like move around. He was moving off his spot in this game almost all game. So that to me scares, like if you're trying to get in that seconds, you're like 3-step drop balls out. You don't have time to get into a scramble drill and look downfield. That's just not the situation that you're in. Yeah, I have no problems with that. I actually have a hot take that like I'm not super mad about any of the timeout usage.
We'll get to some of the later ones.
Sure.
And there's a difference between something not being ideal and something being a strategic mistake.
Sure.
There was some stuff that like, oh, that's weird that they didn't blow the whistle in time and we saw what was going to happen.
I think the officiating crew made things worse today.
Yes. If the refs just blow off the play and you never see what was going to happen, no one is frustrated with those, because anytime you're in a critical spot and you can stop a play from being run where your defense is exposed, that's actually smart timeout usage.
It's playing the results when you
it's
can
just
see
that, well, yeah, but look, Tremaine chased him down and got him for a loss.
We got the stop. I know. It honestly, I was really frustrated. Maybe this is not the spot to talk about it. The way how long it took the officials to react in this game, I thought was a problem. I think it was actually a player safety problem too, because those plays that were called dead, half the players are playing like a dead play, and other guys are hitting full speed.
Miami snapped at least 5 plays with zeros on the clock where
they were just slow
to
do anything.
Yeah. So the half ends. We end at 20. We're able to go down. We get the field goal. We take the lead back, which I guess at least stems a little bit of the momentum of how,
because they're getting the ball back.
How ridiculously deflating it could have felt.
Yeah, you want to get something back there, knowing that they're getting the ball at half.
But ultimately they're able to kind of calm down. They're able to get it together. And then here, again, shout out to the defense. We start this third quarter. They open up the second half. They open up the third quarter with an immediate 3-and-out.
3-play, 1 yard, 53 seconds. Like
1 yard blown up right off the bat. Pressure in Thompson's face on both plays where, it's them forcing throwaways, not able to get much of anything together, and feeling really good about it. Okay, we didn't let them, it wouldn't have been a double dip, but they could have kind of continued the momentum of what was going. It was like, okay, the defense did their job. Really, really nice here.
Yeah.
And right off the bat, the Dolphins dial up a corner blitz. Josh is looking off to the right, doesn't see Eric Rowe coming with a full head of steam, hits him. Josh survives the hit, ends up trying to fight to stay up. If he just gets crunched and falls, it would have just been like a 12-yard sack, and it would have stunk, but we would have been like, okay, we'll live the ball another day and move on. Instead, he tries to fight to stay on his feet. While he's fighting to stay on his feet, they knock the ball out. Zach Seiler comes over, picks it up, rumbles in 5 yards for a touchdown. And now all of a sudden, 1 minute into the third quarter, so we go back again to a minute 50 left. We're about to go up 24-6 with complete control of this game with a first down of the Miami 16. One overturned call all of a sudden turns into somehow a free field goal, an interception, and then a touchdown for Miami, a 3-and-out, and then a fumble return touchdown, and they've earned nothing. We've given them an immediate 18 points, and we are somehow losing to the Miami Dolphins 24-20 in the second half of a playoff game.
I've done a really good job over the years at curbing some of my experience on game day as a fan. Like I can come on here and do post-game shows. 7-8 years ago, I just after a loss, I would have been, you couldn't talk to me for multiple days. And I used to be really more explosive during games. And like, as I've had kids, I've like, you can't swear and cuss and all that stuff. This was a moment I lost. I reverted back to like 7-8 years ago, me, when this goes for a touchdown. I swore, I threw my hat. This was probably as mad as I've been under this team in this period of time, just because it's not so much. I've seen worse moments. I've seen issues that were bigger and bigger mistakes, but like, it's the Miami Dolphins and you were supposed to be blowing this team out. And again, the defense just gave you the ball back. And this is the return. This is the absolute worst slap in the face return you can get, to come out of half and slap your defense with, okay, well, now we're losing. You got to go continue to stop them and give us multiple chances over and over again to try to claw now our way back into this game. Just, you shouldn't have been in this spot. And it's just it's bad situational football, kind of vomited over yourselves for whatever, 8 minutes of football play here.
Yeah. Just a really painful, like immediate, spin of the game to get into that spot. And, then you're at a low point, you're not feeling good about everything that's there. And all of a sudden now we get a little bit going. You see Gabe Davis get a chunk of yards, like 8 there. Then the offensive line just shoves them back. Motor pretty easily gets a first down, comes right back and gets 13 on the next one, feeling really good. We run for a third straight time for 3 yards, which I feel kind of good about. Okay, that's Dorsey working with Allen, kind of let's keep everything calm. Yeah. Josh takes a shot to Dawson Knox. He has a chance to catch it. Huge hit by Javon Holland. Another big play by Holland.
One of the times where Tony Romo said something smart today, where he talked about the ability to wait and time that hit up. He could have made contact before the ball gets there. That's a heady veteran play to be able to come in and make that contact. Tough, because the pad, that it was a nice pass. The ball was there to the play to be made, but what a hit.
Yeah, gorgeous throw by Josh. Yeah. Sadly, that brought up 3rd and 7. And the next play was not a gorgeous throw. Josh, again, kind of squeezing it, has Khalil Shakir on a crosser right at the 6-7 yard to gain, line, sails it over his head.
This is a dangerous one, too, in a game like this, man. You sail that, it goes off some fingers. Like, those are the ones that turn into tip drills all the time.
But again, this is now at the Miami 47. You're talking about a first down at the Miami 40 and room to run. Shakir easily could have gone for 15 or 20 yards, depending on what's going on. But it for sure gets the first down. And now all of a sudden, you need to punt again with the special teams not coming up big today. They're down there. Sam Martin bounces it at the 5-yard line. Neither gunner can down it in time. It rolls into the end zone. And now you're giving Miami the ball back. And now it's like, oh my God, Miami now has possession and and the lead. What in the world is happening? And here again, kudos to the defense. They come right back up.
This is where you get Taron Johnson punch out on the ball here, where it's literally like Matrix. He wraps around the wide receiver and comes in and he just punches him. Almost, if the ball's not there, that's going straight into the face mask. It was like, I'm punching you in the face, and that ball came right out. It was a shot on that ball. It was
I added in a tweet here in my game day thread of just stepping back and saying, losing to a team that has 112 total yards is the most infuriating experience ever. Like, it was just so weird.
This is all Billsy crap.
How are we losing? How are we losing this game? It makes no sense.
I tweeted, not to keep pulling to our tweets, at this point, I think right here in these drives, I'm tweeting about how, like, there's just too much 2019 Buffalo Bills in the 2022 Buffalo Bills. Like, I've seen this too many times where it's like, offense is just playing terrible and the defense is just barely keeping them in a game.
Yeah. So here again, they do take a shot to Jalen Waddle, and he's got this one. And again, like you said, Taron Johnson perfectly times it, punches it out. They go back to Wilson, and then the same thing. They try to go one more on a deep shot to Gesicki, and Tremaine Edmonds just barely gets his hands up to be able to.
It's crazy how deep Tremaine can get in coverage. He's so far downfield on that play.
Crazy. They punt the ball back. Yeah. Buffalo gets the ball here.
I just want to say that's 6 plays so far in the half for the Miami Dolphins. They have 5 yards, and it's 1 minute and 54 seconds off the clock. But they have the lead.
Yes, correct. And they've now are winning that quarter. They've scored more points than us in that quarter.
Yeah.
And they've now run 6 plays for 5 yards. So the Bills again get the ball back. This time, Jalen Phillips kind of blows up a play that they rightfully point out, like Josh should have kept it. It was actually pretty open. He could have run for a decent chunk of yards. He gave to Cook and got blown up. Then the next play, Phillips has pressure, and he barely checks it down to Dawson Knox to get it for 3 yards. And here's where we start a little bit of a theme. And again, 3rd and 12 is not an easy conversion, but we convert 3rd and long more than any other team in the league. And there's a chance to be able to convert, and Josh takes a deep shot to go to Stephon Diggs. Xavier Howard is there, good coverage, contested catch. I don't know that Diggs would have come down with it, even without Howard there. But again, it turns into a 3 and out because we went for the deep shot instead of converting a first down. This time, Sam Martin has a really nice punt, 53 yards out of bounds, perfect punt. Sets it up, and again, the defense comes up huge. This time, probably their most dominant possession of the game. 2-yard tackle for loss where Shaq Lawson blows it up. 7-yard sack by Matt Milano, and then Kyer Elam goes up and makes a huge interception. I'll let you take it from here. Well,
I'm going to give it to as my drive of the game here for my West Herr drive of the game. For me, Greg, this one was, again, I just said it. They had multiple stops here. I'm sort of kind of clumping it all together here for how the defense played in this third quarter. And then this play was pinnacle of getting finally that takeaway. They had plenty of stops. They stopped them to field goals, held them to field goals, but they weren't getting the turnovers, getting the ball back. And you finally get it. And not only is it the drive of game for what it meant, in my opinion, to the game, but again, like I said earlier on, I do think that this is a pivotal spot for Kyer Elam in his career of Dane Jackson went down in this half. That's why you saw Kyer Elam getting out all the snaps. He was rotating in and out, but Dane Jackson was still very much a part of this game. He goes out, he makes the most of this opportunity. And again, there was another play later that I'm questioning as being the drive of the game, but I liked this drive more in terms of the timing. You're really down and out. Everybody's frustrated. Getting a spark like this. And then I'm going to kind of steal a little bit of a thunder that you took last week, and it leads into the next drive, which leads to points for the Bills. You had
their first short field of the day.
Their first short field of the day. You get into 3rd and 8. You get a Josh Allen draw play that keeps that drive going along. And then you end up in the red zone, and then you're ending up with a Cole Beasley touchdown here, which this is the point in the game where it was you're struggling to score points. The second I felt like you could get a lead back, the way this defense was playing, it was get the lead back and don't look back. And I do think that started to happen at this point. It doesn't go as clean for the rest of the game, but I think this was a pinnacle point for the game to finally get a lead back, give your offense a short field, get a little bit of confidence back in your offense. And I think the confidence that instilled in Kyer Elam as a young player in a playoff spot is going to pay big dividends for the Bills further into this playoffs and long term.
Yeah, I think it's really well said. They were able to put that together. And, as we go through and being able to set it up, it leads right into where my drive of the game was.
Hey, bring up the graphic again.
And it was, it was set up because, the Bills, again, come right back out. The defense gets another 3 and out. Looks great. Actually, I take it back. It's technically a 4 and out. Tyreek Hill got a first down on the first one, and then they went with on 3 straight plays. And again, I had a couple questions about, oh man, why aren't there more sacks? But the defensive line's dominating this game. Like, they're in Thompson's face every single play.
All day. He is more athletic than I think he gets credit for in his ability to manipulate the pocket a little bit. He did some good stuff. Yeah. You had the Heinz muff here.
Yeah. So here, again, you had, I am losing my mind. It's 318 yards to 107, and it's somehow a 3-point game. It makes no sense. And now all of a sudden you get into that spot where they do punt it. And this, I mean, it is Nyheim Hines' fault, but he comes up and the punt is short. He should have just stepped. The reason it's his fault is he should have let it bounce.
Yeah.
He shouldn't have tried to field it. He came up and tried to catch it and just
in congestion.
He hit players as he was trying to catch it because he came up into the muck to get it because it was a bad punt. He should have just let it bounce. Instead, it bounces around. Thank God Terrell Dodson falls on it and rightfully falls on it. They see that he has possession and gets touchdown. They mark it there because, as happens in NFL piles, the ball did get moved around and the Dolphins lost their minds in, that, hey, we came up with the ball. How is it not our ball? And to be fair, I probably would have been saying the same thing. Like the replay clearly showed that it was down, but like, hey, if we have the ball, how is it not our ball? I get the way that works. Here, I do want to give a little bit of kudos to Josh on my drive of the game with he looks deep on first down. You can tell they were going for the deep shot right off the bat. Instead, he checks down to Quentin Morris, and I hope he learns from this because he looked deep and looked everybody off. It was a free first down. Quentin Morris just rocketed forward for about 12 yards. They give to James Cook. Josh just barely misses Gabe Davis. They send a nice blitz. Then we see the patented Cole Beasley stutter step. He goes and sets the defender up, ends up cutting back inside. Josh puts it right on him. And then Cole Beasley runs for about 20 yards afterwards, which I don't know that I expected a whole lot of that to be coming after we signed him. And then right after that, hits Gabe Davis on a gorgeous corner route in the end zone. Gabe makes a fantastic catch, barely gets his feet in. Really good game. And you called it out earlier. Really good game by Gabe Davis, where we're complaining about drops and complaining about things. And he had some of the most impressive catches today and 0 drops. So certainly
and big
a guy
down the field plays exactly the ones you want to see from him, right?
Yeah, absolutely. And that's, kind of where this came from, that in my mind, I called this the drive of the game because, I felt like, that should have kind of put it away. Okay, it's 34-24. It's cute that you guys hung on here.
Yeah.
Good for you.
Congrats.
But, hey, now it's there. And this was with 2 minutes left in the third quarter. You know, so we're now talking about, okay, we got a whole quarter left. We might still boat race them. We might still pull away and be able to, comfortably end this game. And, the real frustrating part, here we enter the fourth quarter. This next drive for the Dolphins, they start out right off the bat and run the first couple plays as the third quarter ends. And
I had one problem before the fourth quarter started. There was a 3rd and 9. They end up flagging Trey White for a PI here, and I give him a holding call, fine, but making
River
this
Craycraft stumbled into Trey White.
Sure, and Trey had his hands on him. There could have been a hold.
Illegal contact.
Sure, make a hold, but don't give this a spot foul. That keeps this drive going, and this drive had no business continuing, in my opinion. But they did good on the fence for capitalizing. But going into that fourth quarter, I was pretty frustrated that you gave that one a spot foul there.
Yeah, and then on the next one, you see, they've been timing blitzes really well, and on this one, Skylar Thompson has a really smart long count. He gets Matt Milano to show that he's blitzing, and then the blitz doesn't quite get there, and he hits Cedric Wilson right behind it into a soft spot behind the blitz. One of the, Skylar Thompson actually, it's a horrible stat line. He looks really bad. I actually thought he looked okay today. 18 of 45 looks pretty horrible with 2 interceptions, but
all things considered, the position that he's put in, guys,
he was less horrendous
balls.
than I thought he was going to be.
Yeah,
gave his guys a chance in multiple spots. So this is another one there. Again, you said
better than Zach Wilson, right?
it extends the drive, so they're starting now with the first down as they enter the fourth quarter. Again, he hits Wilson for that one right behind it, and then he goes right back to it, does a drop off to Salvin Ahmed that somehow gains 13 yards. It was super weird. I don't really understand how it gains the yards that it did. Then Ed Oliver busts through, gets a sack, and I'm feeling really good. But okay, we got it back. We pushed them back. And now another one where Skylar Thompson does a little check down that should have been like a, 3-yard gain, but Basham has his hands up and the ball literally touches his forearm as it goes by in real time. I thought he did knock it down. I didn't even think the ball got there. It somehow gets there. A guy slips, so first Trey comes up and is kind of just around the end and the one guy blocks him. It gets to the next one when they've gone through and now Milano gets blocked and Edmonds gets blocked, and somehow he gets 20 yards on a quick screen on the 2nd and 19. It just, those plays aren't supposed to happen. No. And now you're back in there. Jeff Wilson gets the ball on first down to get it down to the 9. Jalen Waddle probably scores on his end around. It kind of looked like he scored and was in the end zone. They called him down. And I was like, oh, good. They have a chance to stop him. And Wilson scores on the next play. And this was the only drive of the entire game where the defense actually gave up a
drive.
drive. Literally the only one. They was the only scoring drive where they actually put together plays, and it was, again, some missed tackles that let them do it.
Sure, it was a bad timing for this drive, but this is the plan of this defense is, okay, we're going to be bend but don't break, which means most drives we're not going to give up points, but there's going to be some where they get enough plays and they can put together that perfect drive against you, or they get some things to go their way. More times than not, the defense was right. You're not going to be able to put together those types of drives. Unfortunately for this one, it does put them back in a puncher's chance in this game, and it's where my heart rate and my iWatch really starts to just be like, goddamn annoyed. Like I should be coming down from the heart rate at this point and enjoy making the graphic for you, getting the show ready, like boat racing my birthday at this point. But no, now we're back into a 1-score game. And with the way this game was going, with some wonky plays, some like big explosive type plays, that's not a good position to be in with so much time left in this fourth quarter. Where are we at? After that,
10 minutes, 11 minutes left. They've now brought it within 3 with 11 minutes to go. So again, multiple spots where you feel like the game's going to be over now and we can relax. And okay, you got a shot here. You're up 11. Let's just put together a nice drive, be able to run some clock, get them to a spot where they have to be able to go here. Nope. We come out and go deep shot. Put a
little more stress on our defense.
Yeah. Just let's run 0 time off the clock. Let's put the defense back out there immediately.
Get sacked on the 3rd and 10. That's fun.
So, and I get it. They're running cover 0. The read is, hey, we have a 1-on-1 with our guy. I'm going to bet on my guy. We'll take a shot. And that's fine.
There's got to be another read built in. There's got to be another read.
There's got to be something, or like, I don't know, like, get something going. We'll run a screen one day. I know it. But when they're running cover 0, like, we can't run one screen over the top. We can't get one time. We can't figure out the timing to dump a screen over the top of that cover 0 blitz. Instead, we take deep shot to Gabe Davis, sack of Josh Allen. We run 59 seconds off the clock and punt it immediately back to them. So again, that same feeling of, they just brought it together and we're now putting ourselves back in position where they have the ball and a chance to go. And the defense saves the day again. And they get into a position where all of a sudden they have a chance to be able to do it. Shaq Lawson has a great run fit for no gain. They missed an Ed Oliver hold on the next play that goes to Waddle.
A lot of Ed Oliver getting held in this game.
Oh, Jesus. Here, I think I joked they almost let them get away with a 4th play snapped with 0 on the play clock. Yeah. And the one, they gifted them a timeout. They did not get a timeout in time before the 0s were on the clock. It should have been the penalty. And then again, pressure gets to Skylar Thompson anyways. He throws short of Waddle. They're not able to do anything. And here, some people question, like, should you have gone for it at that spot? I don't know that they have a ton of confidence in what they were doing. But
4th and 6 is it tough?
Yeah, 4th and 5. Yeah, whatever it was.
Or 4th and 5. Yeah,
that ballpark. So
this is where you get your first people getting mad at Sean McDermott for taking a timeout on that 4th down.
Yeah, and
it ended up being a deep shot that doesn't hit.
Correct.
And so everyone's like, "Well, you could have gone off the field, and you're giving him a second chance." But
whereas
Matt Milano was like running around.
Yeah,
wondering what was
lined
happening.
up. Yeah, they weren't lined up, and if they complete that deep
everyone's
catch,
mad about like 13 seconds.
And now, no, the opposite. If they catch that deep ball, but all of a sudden the play gets waved off because McDermott got the timeout. He's a freaking hero. And like, oh my God, what a genius! I can't believe
he saw we were in got
that.
Coverage,
it would have been like in the Ohio State Georgia game where Kirby Smart gets the timeout at the last second before it would have been like
takes away the big
sack. I think it was a sack. And they would have been a hero. So we just play the results in that. No, our defense is running around without knowing where to be. It's
on
their
a 4th. Fault. Like this is a season on the line. 4th down
on a
play.
huge play. Yeah. Don't get mad at McDermott. Get mad at the defense for not being lined up right and forcing him to do that. And then oddly, after the timeout, McDaniel changes his mind and decides to punt. Because he had the offense out there. So it was super weird. Really,
I don't know if he was trying to do the Bills, we're going to draw you, or what if they were actually intending to run a play.
When you said 4th and 6, it was more than 5. It was 5.5. Because Jim Nantz rightfully said, even if they jump off sides, it's not a first down.
Not a first down, right?
Not that it's not worth trying, because maybe fourth.
Well, then it gets in 4th and 1,
yeah,
and then the probabilities change. Sure. Yeah.
So again, the Bills get the ball back here. This time they actually do run the ball a little bit. We get a handoff to James Cook. We then get a dump down to Nyheim Hines. They're getting
a Shakir redemption play here.
Yes.
I thought we were going to
have. Again, I was, this is, what we're guilty of and why I'm a hypocrite, just like I make fun of other people. Would it be smarter to convert 3rd and 1 and just keep the ball moving? But instead, Josh does take a deep shot, hits Khalil Shakir for a 31-yard catch. Great job by Shakir. Hands catch, tucks it in, secures the ball, does not let any question come up. They even had to decline a penalty on that play. We're then at like the 50, and right here it's feeling like, okay, 6 minutes left. We're going to go in, we're going to score here, and it's going to really put this game away. And instead we get loss of a yard for a run, Josh Allen sack with a strip sack that Spencer Brown has to fall on, thank God. And we even get a chance to punt it.
Yeah, Spencer Brown led to a number of those problems that we saw today too. That particular one was Dawkins, I think, got beat on that play where it ended up being the strip sack. But I saw a number of times where a man the size of Spencer Brown shouldn't be going for rides. Yeah, he got taken for a few rides this afternoon.
Yeah. So they get into that spot. It puts them where they are here. They end up punting the ball. They put it to 14, but now we're having to trust this defense again to hold on. They come right back. They try to take deep shots to Tyreek Hill multiple times. Kaiir Elam almost comes up with another interception here. Could have had his second one. Then they finally connect on one. Jalen Waddle gets one down the sideline. They finally get to where they connect on a deep shot and are able to do there. I then make fun of, between both teams, the Dolphins waste another timeout because they can't get any plays going. Is kind of the
that was a big one. It was a 3rd and 10. You're forced to take that final timeout. You need that in this situation. So huge disadvantage for them of not being able to get up to the line in this game time and time again.
Oh yeah. So then you have another one here where they run another play that gets blown up. It looks like they're going to do a trick play. Tremaine Edmonds doesn't fall for it, runs out to the sideline and makes a catch. But again, we weren't lined up. We have another timeout that gets called, and everybody kind of loses their mind that they get to go again. And the defense has to make another play. And this time Kaiir Elam comes through with the knockaway, really tight coverage, and gets the ball back.
That's all she wrote.
Yeah, to be able to end it. It ends up, coming down that final play. They were a little skeptical of whether Devin Singletary actually converted it or not. I think we would have gone for it and run the Josh Allen shove from behind quarterback sneak anyways. Yeah. So it is what it is. It would end.
I thought too, just that play was the right call too. Yeah. Like, you can't overturn spots like that.
Yeah, correct.
If the word inconclusive has meaning,
yes,
you're giving that play to the Bills.
Yeah. There's a chance that it was like just barely, and maybe it was like 1 or 2 inches short, but it's not like it was some terrible call that he was obviously
like there was a knee down a yard ahead of time or something.
Yeah,
he was right there, and
his entire body was over the line, and it was just whether, as he was turned backwards, kind of shoving for more, did the ball get in
the orange line being misaligned, the orange TV line being misaligned made it look worse when they first ran that.
Yeah, he was actually, it was like millimeters from where it was supposed to be.
Yeah.
Before we wrap here, give us a like button. Mexico Marty's been awesome. He's a ton of fun on Twitter as well. So if you look for Mexico Marty, he's a good follow. Again, we brought it up at the beginning of the show. There are lots of nits to pick. I'm very comfortable saying the Buffalo Bills cannot play like this next week or further in the playoffs and think they're going to win. But seeing them play like this today doesn't mean that's how they're going to play going forward. They can also come out and be a juggernaut and boat race people, or maybe they're just a crazy resilient team that's going to keep pulling out insane wins. And this is our 8th in a row, and we're able to go forward the way that it is. Maybe this is just what our life's going to be like. We're barely going to survive, but they'll just keep doing it.
They got a really impressive win last year in the wild card round and didn't change the results of the ultimate goal I don't know that every Super Bowl championship has a list of beautiful game stomp it where they stomp on their opponent for 4 games in a row. Like, the points to advance. I do think this week there is probably some more criticisms than normal to go around. Your point, nits to be picked, but I'm not conflating the performance we saw today in that they are going to play like this against the Bengals and get boat raced. Like, that's just not where I'm at. It's such a matchup league. It's so game to game dependent. I think they'll be ready for whoever. And I'm assuming it's the Bengals, but I'm ready for whoever.
I'll take it a step further. It's not necessarily a bad thing to have a bit of a wake-up call and some critical film to let McDermott.
We've had enough of these, though. Don't you feel that way a little bit? My frustration comes from, Greg, is that the way I talk about this team and what I believe about this team and the adversity that both on and off the field that they faced, I think it's all real. But I'm also at the point where how much does that adversity you face during the season matter if you don't grow from those examples, and letting a team that has no business being in a game like this playing as sloppy as they did? I felt like they've been in examples like this where they probably should have been able to overcome this maybe a little bit quicker, right the ship a little quicker. So I agree with what you're saying. I'm just, at what point, it's kind of like the Josh Allen coming out on post-game press conferences and having a sulky face and being like, I got to play better than this. I also got sick of hearing that too. At some point I'm sick of, well, we've seen these instances. We're a resilient team. Like, at some point I don't want you to have to be resilient anymore. I want you to just win these games.
Yeah. There was a good comment just previous to this one about the O-line was playing rough, and that is going to be a priority. And we missed, I wanted to read this from Chucky Wookie. NFL-related stress can lead to myocardial infarction and explosive diarrhea at the same time. Don't ask me how I know.
Don't do that.
So
the Hodgins stands, man. The Hodgins with another big catch. They're having a night over there on Twitter, I bet.
Oh, yeah. I'll be sure to look for that.
Yeah.
So, as we wrap up here, obviously, make sure you guys are checking it out. We might have some more guys jumping in to be able to talk about this other game and some other things. Watch for Eric and Anthony and maybe Hans jumping in to be able to have some fun. But ultimately, this is the kind of game that they did survive in advance. I wanted the comfortable, easy, fun boat race like anybody else did. Yeah. But so Lauren, I'm going to tie this back in for my final comment. You said you wanted the Rams game give you false hope of what the season would be like. Let the Rams playoff run from last year, where they had to pull out crazy game-ending win after crazy game-ending win on their way to a Super Bowl victory. Let that be the reminder of what this could be and where we still need to go. All that matters is we're still alive. We're in the playoffs next week, and we will be here for you the entire time. Aaron, what are your final thoughts for the people?
That's it, man. You nailed it. I am just excited that the Bills season didn't come to a deflating end, and we're not doing locker room cleanup stuff here next week, that the Bills are continuing on in the postseason here. I'm excited to watch this Cincinnati game tonight, go catch the end of this Giants game that's going on now, and just kind of watch some stress-free football, in that the Bills are now advancing and they can move their attention to the next opponent here this week. So excited. I'm glad we didn't see anything major, it doesn't look like, for injuries coming out of that game. Not sure Dane Jackson's knee status, but Kaiir Elam came out, but it looked like just a cramp. Didn't see any other big ones. Did you, Greg? I guess we'll get some of that news.
Nothing obvious. We'll have to wait and see. Nothing obvious. Obviously, we saw Dion come on for the one play and then go back out.
So that's a win, seemingly walking away with good health. So hopefully they have a nice week of practice here, and some of these nits that we're going to pick, as you said, get corrected here and course corrected throughout the week, because it's only going to get tighter and harder here as we go forward. But glad the Bills have an opportunity to get another game next week.
Quick shout out to our awesome producer, Chris Kepner. I know he's got some stuff going on with his family today. So thinking about his family and glad to have him here with us.
We appreciate you, man.
And going through there, thinking about him and everything going on there. We appreciate you. But for everybody in the chat, you guys were awesome. Do us a favor, hit the like button on the way out. It really means a lot. It lets other people know about this show. That's all we ask of you. Go out there, press that like button, help us out. But on behalf of Chris Kepner, on behalf of Aaron Quinn, I'm Greg Tompsett. You've been listening to Cover One Buffalo, and we are out.